Hey everybody, this is Mickey with Freedoming Photography, and I am coming to you with 5 ways to not look like an amateur photographer. And of course, when you start out, you're going to look like an amateur. It's going to happen, and eventually, you'll get more comfortable and you'll have a little bit more confidence, and you'll understand a lot more. But in the meantime, here's 5 things you can do to not pop out so much. Number 1 is holding your lens properly. So a lot of people, when they pick up their camera, they hold the lens like this with the thumb at the bottom. What you actually want to be doing is cupping it more, putting your hand at the bottom. Because what happens is as you acquire larger and heavier lenses, once you upgrade from that kit lens, the weight gets a lot more. And this isn't nearly as stable as just holding it with your hand. And you can still focus in and out with it and zoom in and out with it as you need to. But what this does is this gives you a lot more stability as you get heavier lenses. So when you're not using a tripod, you're able to have a little bit more control and control that shutter speed better to get better exposures. It's a common mistake that a lot of people do, and for a lot of people, myself included, it just feels more natural when you first pick up a lens to hold it like that. But in the end, once you get in the habit of holding it like this, and once you actually feel the difference and it becomes more second nature to hold it like this, it will give you a lot more control, and you will be able to feel how much better it feels to hold it like that versus thumb down. Next up is ditch that cheap tripod. If you paid like 40 or 50 bucks for your tripod, it's time to upgrade. If you're paying less than $100, really, maybe $130 even these days, you're probably going to wind up replacing that tripod sooner than later, and it's not worth it. Those things are not meant to hold digital SLR cameras, even though they probably have pictures on it doing so. It'll hold up for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, but at the same time, they are not intended for the long haul, and they do not support the weight of actual camera gear. So, granted, tripods can get expensive. You can easily spend a few $1,000s just on a tripod setup. But that's probably not your budget, so don't worry, you don't have to. There's a lot of really good options that are just over $100, and it's going to make a world of difference. You'll feel it as soon as you take it out of the box, just how much better it's constructed, how much better it's built, and how much sturdier it is than those really cheap ones that you get at like Best Buy or something. Because those things are not built to last, and they scream, I just bought camera gear and I don't know what I'm doing yet. So if you have one of those and you're taking photography pretty seriously, get the upgrade. It's well worth the money, and even a $130 tripod can last you years and years if you take care of it properly. Whereas those cheapo ones, they're going to last you a few months before they start falling apart. So go for the upgrade. It's worth it. Consider it one of your first real investments of many as you get more into photography. Third, and this is something I see a lot of here, especially in a tourist destination like Grand Teton National Park in Yellowstone, there are a lot of people that will use their tripods in the middle of the day with bright sunlight. And guess what? You really don't need to. Tripods you really want for when there's low light. And that's when they become essentially required. When you're shooting sunrise, sunset, foggy days, overcast days, things like that, that's when you really need a tripod. But if it's a sunny day in the middle of the day, you have more than enough light to just handhold your camera. And a lot of people feel they need a tripod because they've heard always use a tripod, which, yes, is a very good habit to be in. But when there's so much light that you really don't need to worry about the camera shake affecting the shutter speed, then you really don't need a tripod. There's plenty of light to handhold, and I personally enjoy having the freedom to, move around and try different things, whereas, when you're with a tripod, it's going to be a little bit more cumbersome to move. It's going to be a little bit harder to set up, and not using a tripod gives you the freedom to kind of move around more. But that being said, you definitely want to use your tripod when it's needed. And this comes with experience too, noticing how low that shutter speed can get before you actually need to mount it on the tripod. And in a lot of cases, especially with image stabilization on lenses and in cameras these days, you really don't have to worry about it until you start getting below 1/100th of a second. Once you start getting slower than that, 1/50th of a second, 1/10th of a second, things like that, that's when you want to start considering getting your camera on a tripod. And that'll change with conditions, that'll change with certain lighting, things like that. But in a nutshell, if my shutter speed is dipping below 1/100th of a second or 1/50th of a second, I'm going to start thinking about a tripod, especially if the light is fading or the light looks like it's going to fade. But when it's sunny outside and it's a clear blue day and your shutter speed is 1/250th of a second or 1/1000th of a second, and you're just shooting landscapes, you really don't need the tripod that badly. So other people's opinions might differ, but that's kind of how I feel. When it's that sunny and bright, the tripod is a little bit more trouble than it's worth, in my opinion. Number 4 is to get rid of that kit lens. That it gets the job done, but it's not really a quality lens. And that's why a lot of times that it comes with a setup that's so affordable, is because it's not very much money to manufacture. And that's where a lot of the money, where the gear gets expensive, is in the lenses, because the lenses, you want that really good glass to create a really sharp image, and that can focus in low light and things like that. And that's where a lot of that money winds up going as you get more and more into photography. So the kit lens, it's going to do the job, it's going to get you started, but it's not necessarily something you want to rely on, and it's not necessarily you want to keep long term. Granted, everybody's on a different budget, and maybe that kit lens is doing exactly what it needs right now until you can afford a new lens. That's great. Just know that at some point in the near future, you're going to want to upgrade that lens. And if you're on a tight budget, you might want to look into used gear. I've bought lots of used gear and been perfectly satisfied with it. KEH is a great site for a lot of used gear. Also, Adorama has a great used section, so that'll save you a lot of money. A lot of times lenses are like half the price of retail, so that'll save you a lot of money, and they work perfectly good. People take care of them, people treat them well, and you can see right there on the website just how good or how used it is, and they'll let you know, like, this one's in perfect condition, this one has a little bit of wear and tear on the body, but the lens is good, the glass is good. So kind of check it out, look around, and start upgrading your lenses, because that kit lens, you'll see as you get years into photography, that kit lens was not comparing to the quality of higher tier lenses. And number 5, do not harass wildlife. Yes, it's exciting when you see them for the first time. And of course, many people come here and visit Grand Teton National Park and Yellowstone and many other places that have wildlife that you don't get to see on a daily basis. And it's exciting, it's amazing, and it's probably going to be one of the best moments of your life. But that doesn't mean you can harass them. That doesn't mean you can walk up to them. That doesn't mean you can get close to them and stick a camera in their face. That is a very rookie mistake, and not one that people respond to very well at all. This is why the parks and the national forests and everything recommend staying a certain distance away. With most wildlife in this area especially, they recommend staying 25 yards away. If it's a bear or a wolf, they recommend 100 yards. And that's because not only is it completely disrespectful to the animal to get closer than that, but you're also putting yourself in danger. Every animal here that can hurt you can run about 35 miles an hour. So it doesn't matter if in the joke you're faster than your friend. If that animal wants you, it's going to get you. And as mentioned, it's just disrespectful. Inevitably, there's going to be other people around, especially if it's on the roadside. But that is why people have telephoto lenses, so they can get that reach without getting close. You don't have to get right next to an animal to get a good shot. People are fascinated by those shots in Nat Geo and, the big close-ups that go viral on social media and stuff. But a lot of times people are shooting with very long lenses. A lot of times those are just camera traps. There's a lot of different scenarios, and the professional photographers are not getting next to wildlife. They know better. They have more respect most of the time. But if you're coming to an area with a lot of wildlife, something you're looking forward to, and you don't have the budget to buy a top-of-the-line lens, you can always rent one. There's a lot of places that rent lenses. Lens Rentals is one of the big ones. They'll ship it to you, you just ship it back, and you've got a perfectly good long telephoto lens to use with your camera setup and for the duration of your trip. In addition, you don't actually have to get right next to the animal. Sometimes it's nice getting that whole environmental shot where you see the animal in its environment. There's going to be a lot of situations where you're not right next to the animal, and that's probably a good thing because A, it's good for the animal to have some space and privacy, but then B, it's also a good exercise to try practicing getting different kinds of exposures. It doesn't always have to be a close-up of an animal. Sometimes that environmental portrait is a much more interesting shot than the close-up, so you can see it in its natural environment. You can see how it relates to whatever food it's eating, the canopy around it, things like that. So yeah, it's always important to just maintain a respectful distance around wildlife, and that is just one way you will look a little bit more professional. So those are my 5 tips. I hope you found them helpful, and I hope you take them to heart. If I missed any, please let me know that you think are important. You can definitely leave them down in the comments. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're interested in supporting me, I do have a Patreon channel and a YouTube membership, which you can check out in the description below as well. And with that, thank you for watching, and I will see y'all next time.